Alright guys, welcome back to the garage. It is Tuesday, April the 5th, and finally have the opportunity to get the garage doors open. It's been a while, and it's a momentous occasion when we're able to get the doors back open in the spring. Hasn't been a great spring so far. Last week we still had snow on the ground. It actually snowed a couple days last week, so we're just starting to get into a little bit better weather, which means I can finally get the garage door open and get back to work in the garage. We are still wrapping up some final projects on the 1981 Alfa Romeo Spider Veloce. We are waiting for carpets to arrive, and they should be arriving within the next couple of weeks. We just got notification today that our tires have arrived. We had to order those from Tire Rack in the US, so we've got some new Redesteens to put on this car, so hopefully they'll arrive at my Canadian mailbox by the end of the week, and we'll be able to get those on the car shortly. Other than that, we're kind of running out of projects on the Alfa Romeo. We still have some small things to do, and then some overall detailing to do towards the end before we transfer this car's title over to Doc, the new owner. But we're getting there. Most of the items have been crossed off the list, just those few items, as mentioned, left to do. So the task out here for today is just to primarily get this a little bit more organized to resume work out here, and that means doing some spring cleaning and organizing. As always, it seems like I'm always cleaning and organizing this garage. So the plan is to start working back on the TR250 shortly. I do have some new parts to install on that. I've got one page of a list left, and we'll probably once we get the car unwrapped, we'll go back through that list and we'll do the final itemization of what needs to be done on this car before it hits the road this spring. Well, hopefully this spring anyway. As mentioned, I did get some parts in stock, some seals for the hardtop section for the Siri top, and picked up some fluids this week to do the clutch and brake hydraulics, as well as some gear oil for the rear end for that Nissan R200 differential conversion. So we still got to do all the fluids on this car, and if you might recall, we still haven't fired this car up with the actual body on top of the chassis. We did a fire up of the engine some time ago now, just with a bare chassis, so I've yet to fire this car up with the engine in situ with the body on top of it. So it'll be nice to finally get this car moving in and out of the garage, at least under its own power, before we can move on to the next steps, which is taking this for safety and certification and for a four-wheel. So I think what I'm going to do today is I'm going to get the Alfa Romeo off of jack stands. It's been up on jack stands since last December. So I think we'll get this down off of the stands at least, and we'll put it on the rolling jacks, at least until we actually get the tires in hand. We can't really do much more on this car, so we're probably going to start transitioning back to the TR250. So we'll get this car back down off the stands, we utilize the stands under the 250 and get this jacked up so we can do that differential and the clutch and brake hydraulics as mentioned. Alright, we spent a few hours out in the garage just doing a little bit of organizing and moving of cars. And we now have the Alfa down off the jack stands and just on the rolling jacks. And we've got it covered up temporarily for probably a week or a week and a half. Wait until I get the tires and the carpet in. We'll move back to that to get that done and out of the garage and on its way to dock. In the meantime, we've got the 250 kind of situated where we want it to be. That's going to go up on stands now so we can do the aforementioned hydraulics. I do also have some parts that I've just unpacked, and here's all the parts for the hardtop section. So these are all the seals for the hardtop section that I'm going to need. These are actually the seals here for this window A-post that I'm going to need. I actually got both styles. These are called, I think they're called P seals. You can probably see why. And there's a small one which is for the 250, and there's a larger one for the TR6. I got both just to be on the safe side, so we'll install those as well. And there's the rest of the trim bits for the hardtop section. Now, some of these are not applicable. Some of them are more applicable to a factory hardtop, and some of these parts I won't require, but I got them anyway just in case. They will work with the aftermarket hardtop. Here's the list for anybody who's interested in a recap. So not so much winter projects anymore, we're more into spring, but we need to put the interior back in. We actually never finished it completely anyway. We've still got some carpeting to do, and we tore the dash apart a little bit in order to do some wiring. So I've got a gauge to go back in and the center console to go back in, and of course all the wiring to hook up to that center console, I've got the air-fuel ratio meter that needs to be wired in. We've got the wires there, we just have to get them plugged in. And of course I've got to get the dash screwed back down. So that's what I mean by interior. So carpet, we're obviously missing a seat on the driver's side. It's actually in the trailer. I pretty much decided that I'm not going to go with these seats anyway. I've talked myself out of these seats. I don't find them very comfortable being so low backed. I don't believe they're the correct seats for the 250 anyway. I think these might be TR4 seats. Obviously the pattern is wrong as far as the piping is concerned for the TR250, and that's what's leading me to believe that these might be for a TR4. Now I do have a 62 TR4 coming down the line, which actually would be not the exact seats like these, but they may be more applicable to a TR4 versus the TR250. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my 1969 seats out with the folding headrest out of the TR6, and I'm going to put the TR6 seats back in the actual TR6. So that's the plan as far as seats are concerned. Those 69 seats are very comfortable. They're going to be a lot more comfortable than those low back seats. So I think that's the direction we're going as far as the seats are concerned. All right, number 2, I've mentioned hardtop trim. So we've got all the seals to be able to do that now, so we'll figure that out. That's going to be a bit of a jigsaw puzzle. I've, of course, not fitted a hardtop to this car before. The seals that were on it previously were kind of homemade, and they were a mix match of just store-bought stuff from Home Depot, etc. So now that I have these proper seals, or what I think are the proper seals, it may be a little bit more difficult to get the top back on the car, but we will see. The Surrey top fitting, so the cloth section, it still needs to be fitted to this car. It actually has a front rail conversion from a TR6, so it should be a little easier to work once I get it figured out. But we'll have to fit that to the top and make sure it's fitting okay with that H frame that goes underneath the actual cloth top. We'll have to figure that out as well. So next are hydraulics, clutch, and brakes. So I've got the .5 over here, as mentioned. I purchased at the hardware store, so that's ready to go. I got a vacuum pump kit here that we're going to try out. I do have the air powered kit, but I'm actually just going to try to do this a little bit more slowly. I find with the air powered one, it tends to introduce a little bit of bubbles into the stream exiting the bleeder screw. I've tried greasing around the screw, but it seems to still indicate there's air in the line when maybe there isn't. So it's not a most exacting science with that vacuum bleeder. We're going to try this handheld one and see if that works any better. It's going to be slower, but that's okay. I've got time. So we're going to put that to good use. All right, number 5, gear oil and fluid checks and oil change. So as mentioned, we still haven't started this car since we did the engine break-in, or the cam break-in, for 20 minutes. So and I ran it a couple of times after that as well. So I think it's probably time to change the engine oil out. We're going to check the differential fluid. It does have fresh GL4 gear oil in the differential, or not in the differential, sorry, in the transmission. And for the differential, we've got to put in the appropriate gear oil for the Nissan R200, which is this 7590 gear oil. It's full synthetic, so this is the Castrol brand. I was going back and forth on what I wanted to buy, and there's different opinions on what to use. I'm sure this will be fine, so that's what we're going to be putting into the R200 differential. All right, point number 6, trim strips and beading. At one point I was thinking about putting the factory trim strips here on the bottom of the rockers. There's actually a trim strip that goes along. Unfortunately, the fenders are not fitting 100%. They're pretty good. They're much better than what they were, but I think it's going to prevent me from using the trim strips there on the bottom. The car didn't come to me with the trim strips installed. I actually do have them up here if required. There they are there, and I actually have the clips to install them. But like I said, I think it's going to be difficult on this side. I think the driver's side, the fitment is quite a bit better, and we could probably utilize it on the driver's side as is, because that's a pretty good fit over here. Although it may stick out a little bit, so I'm probably better off just not to apply those at all and make that a non-issue. What I mean by the beading, the tabs that go through the fender, so the beading still slides a little bit in certain areas. It's not really tightly affixed and held to the body tub by the wings, so there are some tabs that are accessible on the inside of the fenders that I can bend to prevent it from sliding. In particular, it seems to slide quite a bit more in the rear than it does in the front. So what we'll do is we'll bend those tabs over accordingly, the ones we can get to anyway, and that should help with that beading moving around at all. Then we start getting into the nitty-gritty and some of the things I can't do or some of the things I don't want to do. I have done string alignments in the past with the IRS rear end on these cars. It's obviously going to be a little bit more difficult to set the camber and toe. So we're going to take this to a professional shop to do. So this is going to have to be trailered over to a shop for them to do that for me. I'm going to have to find a shop locally that can do it. I did have a local shop do my TR6, but that was probably 15 years ago. I'll probably check there first to see if they can do this, if they have the specs in their machine. If not, I might have to find a specialty shop to do that. So that might be a little bit of a challenge in this day and age to find somebody to do this car. So number 7, alignment. Point number 8, safety and certification. So this car has to go through a safety check before it gets its license plates. So that will have to be done. I'm hoping as part of the process of the alignment, the same shop that can do the alignment can also do the safety. We do know that all of the lights are working on the car, all the safety systems, the brakes are brand new and work as they should, or I'm hoping they work as they should. It still obviously needs to be road tested, so we may find a few gremlins when we're doing that. But as far as the lights are concerned, the horns, all the safety equipment, they're all working as they should, so we should be good to go there as far as the safety is concerned. Like I said, the brakes are brand new, the tires are brand new, so generally those are the things they look for when you're doing the safety and certification process. All right, number 9 on the list is detailing, and I'm thinking of getting a professional to detail this car. I've gone pretty much as far as I can with it in my limited expertise as far as detailing the car, so I'm thinking that it might benefit from a professional detailer going over this. There are a few areas that are still showing a few sanding scratches that I'm not happy with, so I may have to go over those areas maybe with some 3000 grit sandpaper and bring that back up before I take it to a detailer. As part of that detailing process, I'm considering getting the ceramic coated as well. So that's going to be done probably within the next few weeks, I hope, and then we'll be able to enjoy the car for the late spring, summer, and fall. That's the thought process anyway. I'm sure we'll, like I mentioned, we'll have to work some bugs out along the way, but that's part of restoring a car from scratch. Alright guys, I think we're going to call it a night out here in the garage, and I think we'll upload this video just so you can see that we're back to attempting to work on the TR250. Like I said, it should be out here after work over the next few days and into the weekend, so we can start crossing some of those items off the list and getting it closer to the road. So that's it for now, guys. We will see you out here in the next few days, and we'll start crossing items off the list. Thanks for watching, guys.